is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got another edition of TV Talk, where I go over recent TV series that are out in the world and tell you guys whether or not they are worth watching. I tend to do a lot of things that are pretty frequently hyped, and I tend to do a lot of things that are new releases on Netflix. So with that being said, can you guess what show I'm talking about today? About 2-3 weeks ago, my timeline was flooded and inundated with all kinds of Tiger King memes and conversation and all this stuff. And when something gets to be so big, I usually decide that I'm not going to watch it. I kind of get annoyed by the infiltration of it on my feed. And I say to myself, well, I have no reason to watch this anytime soon. And then I heard it was a thing about tigers, and I was like, I'm not a big animal documentary kind of a guy, so it didn't catch my fancy at first, if you know what I mean. But then I sat down randomly at night. I had some stuff happen at my house. I had a lot of tragedies happen to me in the last couple of weeks. But I knew this thing was getting big. I sat down amidst one of these tragedies in my home. I was kind of bouncing around a little bit house to house this week. I had some stuff in my house going on. So we sat down to watch an episode of this Tiger King, and man, I got to tell you, I was instantly hooked, and I watched it in 2 sittings. We watched 3 episodes the first night, and then I went to another friend's house, and I watched the other 4 episodes in a second sitting. So within 3 days and 2 sittings, I watched the entire 7-episode series. And I figured since I watched it and it's still all the rage and all the memes right now, I might as well make a video because my channel has been growing. Thank you to all the new subscribers. If you guys are brand new to my channel, you will see acting monologues here. You'll get updates on my novels and movies that I direct and write. You'll see some previews of those novels, and you'll see some films of mine. Go back and check out my most recent horror film, Limbo Cafe, that is posted on this channel. You'll see wrestling talk. You'll see talk about Netflix, movies, and TV. You'll see film reviews. You'll see football stuff, a lot of Steelers stuff. My channel's got all kinds of different flavors for artists, sports fans, all alike. So this one right here, I wanted to give you guys a real brief kind of rundown of Season 1 of Tiger King and tell you kind of why I liked it and delve into why I like stuff like this and why we all as a society are enjoying stuff like this during this scary quarantine. I hope you are staying safe. But Tiger King, and again, I will probably spoil this toward the end of the video. I'm not going to spoil anything at first. It'll be non-spoiler early on, and then at the end of the video, I'll go into the spoilers. So if for some reason you've been living under a rock like I was, and you have not seen this show yet, I'll keep it spoiler-free at first, and then I'll spoil later. Tiger King is a 7-episode documentary. And it is 45 minutes per episode. So if you got a couple hours, you can knock out the whole season. It's pretty addictive. And to me, it's kind of in the vein of Making a Murderer. It kind of has that similar style where it takes these larger-than-life personalities who are relatable and normal and actual public figures, but have larger-than-life charisma and personalities, and have found themselves in a very twisted web. It reminds me very much of Making a Murderer, where you have all these competing animal sanctuaries and animal zoos that are showing off animals and breeding animals and bringing animals into their exhibits and trying to make money and gain audiences off of these animal farms. And one breeder or one sanctuary host doesn't like the way another one is working, and they're all kind of, some of them get together and are friends and try to start businesses. Others are rivals, and they all have their different ways of doing things. So you have these competing animal exhibits, which I had no idea there were so many, and I had no idea they were such a cutthroat business. And Netflix has told me that I had no idea they were so out there. I mean, the characters in this real-life situation all have unique characteristics, and they all have larger-than-life weird stories. They all are kind of seedy and kind of go against the grain, and they all kind of have secrets and lies and manipulations to their businesses, and they're all kind of crooked. I mean, there's nobody you can really cheer for in this, but the stories are so unique and the personalities are so large that it's hard to cheer against them, if that makes any sense. These people all have things about them that are fun to watch and draw you to their characters, even if they're all kind of, in a way, bad people. So Joe Exotic is our main character in this show, and he's a YouTube personality. He's a zoo runner. He's a singer apparently. I had no idea this guy did talk shows and sang and has all this stuff in his life that I didn't know existed. He's kind of the main character of this, and we see they talk about his upbringing with his parents, his suicide attempts, his love life being a homosexual that has multiple husbands. We see that life play out a little bit in some of the hold he has over some of the guys that he is in relationships with and gets married to. He has this magnetism and this hold over them. Some that causes a good experience and others that cause some pretty dark things to happen. We have Carol Baskin, who is Joe Exotic's longtime rival, heated rival, who is, she hates the way Joe does things because she wants animals to be free and not be bred and not be used for money-making purposes. But yet Carol also uses them in a captivity and in money-making purposes. So she's kind of the big advocate for animals here, but she, to me, doesn't seem any better than Joe. And she says that Joe does things crookedly and has secrets. Carol may have more secrets than anybody else in this documentary. So she opposes him in a good versus evil way, but yet she might be just as evil as Joe. And then her husband is involved as well. Then we have Doc Antle. He is a mentor to Joe. He speaks well of Joe, and Joe likes him the best of all the other competing zoo hosts here. And he's got this harem of women. He brings on a bunch of different ladies onto his sanctuary, and they kind of become not only workers for him, but they become like wives. It's kind of like he's the Hugh Hefner of the tiger zoo circuit. He finds a way to get these young buxom ladies to do work for him, but then has a bit of a sexual polyamorous style relationship with them. So it's kind of like a brothel. It's kind of like the Playboy Mansion kind of thing for the tiger sanctuaries. So a very weird way to look at his character. And then we have Kelsey Safari, who works for Joe Exotic, and had her arm bitten off by a tiger. She was a real life tragedy where her arm was bitten off and she almost died. Went to the hospital, and then somehow, because she wanted to do things for Joe and to save her reputation of the sanctuary, she came back to work within like 2 weeks of being in the hospital for an amputated arm. So that kind of shows you the power and the magnetism and the brevity of how manipulative and almost godlike that Joe Exotic can be, because he gets these people to be in such a negative, to have something like a tragic thing happen where an animal that you've worked with bites your arm off and you almost die and you lose your arm. But to come back 2 weeks later and defend Joe and defend the sanctuary and want to work around those tigers again shows you the hold and the power that Joe Exotic has, and the dedication that this sect, this zoo animal tiger, I don't want to say cult because that's too harsh a word, but this lifestyle, the dedication this has on these people, all of them in this documentary, live, eat, sleep, and breathe the hard work in the sanctuary and these animals. Then we have Jeff Lowe, who comes in to save Joe Exotic's butt at some point. Joe's kind of running out of money. He's being involved in lawsuits and things. And he gets bailed out by this big playboy, Jeff Lowe, who also is married but also does things with other ladies in his life. He seems to use the cubs and the animals as a way to make money as well. He seems like he's going to be the savior to bail Joe out and kind of be the good guy in this thing. And then he winds up kind of, in a way, taking over the business and having more secrets than most anybody in this documentary. And then we have Travis Maldonado, who was one of Joe's husbands. Joe was married to multiple partners at one time, and Travis is a younger person that attracted himself to Joe, and they have a relationship through this that plays out in kind of a sad way, without spoiling anything, but those are kind of the main characters. There are several others as well. We talked to a DA, we talked to a producer that filmed Joe's YouTube videos for him, we talked to Joe's other husband later on in the show, we talked to another husband or boyfriend that Joe comes across later on. So it's an interesting cast of characters that all have their takes, all have their big personalities, and all have secrets, and all have their wars and interactions with each other in kind of keeping the books and keeping their sanctuary as being the best and screwing each other over, that makes this cutthroat documentary feel very seedy but very interesting in how it's interwoven, because you have characters in a story that threads with each one of these individuals, and they all come from very unique and very dark backgrounds. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, if you have not seen The Tiger King, again, it's 7 episodes, 45 minutes apiece. It's a fast watch. It's fun. It's pretty lively for a documentary. You get a lot of personalities. I recommend this show. I would give this documentary about a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. We'll say 7.5 out of 10 for the sake of this review. So go watch it if you have not. Now, from this point forward, I'm going to give some brief spoilers just to kind of tie things up here. But yes, if you have not seen it, go watch it. It's worth your watch. 7.5 out of 10. If you have seen it, let's talk briefly. They end this season kind of with some cliffhangers to make you think there's going to be a season 2. And based on the popularity of the show, I think there's going to be a season 2. There's already been rumors that the ID channel, ID Network, is filming a sequel to this show. A Tiger King sequel that focuses, it will have Joe in it and stuff like that from jail, but it focuses on Carol Baskin's husband, if she killed her husband and where his whereabouts are, because that's one of the biggest cliffhangers that is left in season 1. So I don't know when this ID channel documentary about Carol Baskin's husband does not have a release date yet, but it is being filmed. It is official, and Netflix is looking at a season 2 of Tiger King, so we're looking at possibly 2 different series based around the same cast of characters. As far as things that are left up in the air, will Joe Exotic get out of jail? Right now it seems like no, but Joe was arrested, as you guys know. They're still watching this, for many different crimes. Threatening Carol Baskin's life, on top of all the breeding of cubs and illegal money laundering and stuff like that he did. So will Joe get out of jail was a big storyline. They said that Carol Baskin potentially killed her husband and fed him to the tigers, which makes her one of the biggest bad guys in the show. But her husband was said to be going on taking his jet and going on a trip and trying to get away because there was a restraining order in their marriage. So there are secrets here. Did her husband leave? Did he escape? Did he die on his flight? Or did Carol actually feed him to the tigers? We want to find out what's going to happen with Jeff Lowe. Jeff Lowe's got all kind of secrets that weren't really fully revealed, but we've seen a couple things that he's done. And is he going to go to jail? You know, Travis Maldonado killed himself. But whether that was done as a lack of knowledge with the gun being loaded or whether he wanted to escape Joe is a big thing. What's going to happen with Joe and his new husband? Are they going to stay together? The husband's very young and impressionable. He was new to the sanctuary. What's going to happen there? You know, what other competing brands are gonna you know come up and make themselves known in this? Doc Antilles, is he going to have his own sanctuary? What's going to happen to Joe's assets? Is Jeff Lowe gonna explode with any more partners? He already had multiple partners that he fell out with and has a bunch of problems with. So what is the remaining fate of these characters? What's going to happen? Tell me in the comments below what you guys think about Joe Exotic, Carol and her husband, all that stuff. Tell me in the comments below what you want to see from Netflix Season 2 from the ID channel, what you thought of this show, and what you thought of this review. Tell me in the comments below, and I will hopefully come back with more TV talk and more Netflix future shows very soon. Take care, my friends.